It looks cool. What is it?
What is it? It's an airplane. All right, enough. What you're sitting in is a 7/8 scale replica Nieuport 11. It is a French fighter aircraft dated from 1916. Carries the markings of one of France's greatest aces, Georges Guynemer. His airplane was named Vieux Charles, or Old Charles. Again, it's a 7/8 scale replica. It's powered by a Rotax engine. The original would have been powered by an 80 horsepower rotary drone. Now, a rotary engine differs from a radio engine by being the crankshaft is fixed and the cylinders rotate around the crankshaft, which is kind of interesting. The other interesting thing about the rotary engine, it is a total loss oil system. So what that means is, essentially, all of the oil in the system is blown out through the cylinders as it's flying. So the helmet and the goggles that you're wearing, the goggles aren't simply to look cool, although it doesn't hurt, right?
No, I definitely feel cool.
That you definitely feel cooler, exactly. Now, you also, pilots of that era would wear long scarves. You see that, and you know they're not trying to look dashing. Again, doesn't hurt.
Right.
You're clearly lacking one, but you know that's right. We'll let it slide.
I feel less dashing.
Yeah, there's a deficit of dash. Let's be honest. So the scarf was there to wipe the schmutz off of your face because the oil
gets
stick
everywhere.
With me. The oil gets everywhere. The oil that they used in these engines was castor oil.
Isn't that like beaver from beavers, right? Castor?
So castor oil may be better known as a medicine that your mom may have given you when you were young if you were backed up. Oh yeah, that's the part they don't talk about in Snoopy versus the Red Baron. That's correct. So World War I aviation was full of a lot of inherent risks and dangers, but that's one you don't often hear about.
No, they talk about the risks of getting shot down, but never
They also, because they were flying at high altitude, they had the cooks and the mess sergeants had to take care with what food they fed the pilots, because certain foods reacted poorly at high altitudes.
Oh my.
Yes, oh my. So being a pilot had its advantages and it also had its disadvantages. So, and this is before we even get into the fact that you were flying an aircraft that is made of ash or spruce, which was selected because of its very light yet very sturdy and strong qualities. It was structurally a very good material to use for an aircraft that had to be light to get off the ground. That framework would then be covered with Irish linen, which was then doped with a very flammable, what they call banana oil, is the usual name. And all of the gas in the aircraft was contained in a simple metal box ahead of the pilot. Yes, a metal box. There's no rubber. There's no self-sealing fuel tanks. So fire was a very real thing.
This just sounds like a death trap.
Not necessarily. As long as you're not taking any incoming fire, you should be okay.
Then everything was fine then, right?
Everything's good.
Yeah,
right.
Just don't stay away from those pesky Germans.
Pas de problème. Yeah, exactly.
So, as a unit, where are you guys out of today?
So, appreciate the question. So, the unit that we represent is the 32nd Aero Squadron. The 32nd Aero Squadron was basically the maintenance depot for a vast complex of American bases located dead in the middle of France around a town called Issoudun. The complex was collectively known as the 3rd Aviation Instructional Center. There was about 13 fields. I may have that number off the top of my head wrong. 13 is about right, 13 or 14. The 32nd would repair the aircraft that were broken by the American pilots that were undergoing training. Now, the special thing about the 3rd AIC and the 32nd was that this is a prime example of the enormous French contribution to the development of American air power. When we first entered...
That's something I'm really historically familiar with.
So, and a lot of people aren't. When America entered World War I on April 6, 1917, the total size of what was called then the aviation section of the Signal Corps, and again going from memory, is around 1,200 people or so.
Wow.
and 45 airplanes. Now, we just declared war on Germany, who had literally thousands of aircraft and thousands of pilots and crews.
Wow.
We were, in a word, desperately unprepared. So
Yeah.
we needed to get up to speed, and we needed to do it very fast. The very first thing we needed to do was learn how to fly and fight. We engaged different training programs simultaneously. The first one was stateside to establish places for where we would train a huge cadre of pilots that could then begin training American fledgling airmen in the basics flight. But that's not going to help learn how to fight the trenches of France.
No.
So we also began working with French to establish this network of bases around the Sudan. They were very far away from the front lines. And the French provided pilots, they provided mechanics, they provided all of the facilities.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot. Most importantly, they provided aircraft, because American industry
Like
couldn't get their act
you
together.
said we had like 45.
Yeah, we had 45, and most of those were Curtiss. So there were some Wrights and some other aircraft that were in development. In terms of just straight bulk quantity, what you needed was far more than what we had available. So France stepped up. Her aviation industry was second to none in the world. So she began providing, the French government began providing dozens upon dozens of what at the time were outdated aircraft. So
Great for practicing, though. Great for learning.
well, exactly right. Exactly right. So again, we're talking about the time period we're representing is July 1918, when things are really, really in their stride. So by now, there were hundreds and hundreds of older French Nieuports. Now this is a Nieuport 11, as mentioned earlier. This is a single-seat fighter. This was not a type that they had there, but it is representative of one of the primary training types that we had.
Okay.
Nieuport created the Nieuport 80, which was effectively the same airplane, but with 2 seats, no guns.
Cool.
2 seats, no guns, Nieuport 80. So they both shared the same wingspan. So, but the important thing that we want to tell, the important story that we want to tell beyond highlighting the service of America's earliest airmen is the natureship of our partnership with France. France has been a steadfast friend and partner of America for hundreds of years, and it didn't end with Lafayette.
No.
They helped us in much the same way that we helped them. It's been very much a fruitful partnership.
It's been a back and forth.
It's been a back and forth, a lot of give, a lot of take. They've been there for us, and we have been there for them. And it's an important story to tell.
It's an amazing story. It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
One last question.
Sure.
How do I get out of this?
Well, you just put it in a dive and jump.
That might work. There you go.